Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Arjun, a global director with Frost & Sullivan's Aerospace and Defense practice. At Frost & Sullivan, for about 70 years now, we have been helping global aerospace and defense primes and subprimes to build their market expansion strategies. We've been helping government organizations build industrialization and localization plans, and so on. It's a privilege to be here today. We are living in a time where the landscape of warfare is evolving very rapidly. Traditional combat approaches are giving way to a new era, one where the pace of innovation constantly challenges the conventions that we used to trust. The rules of engagement are continually shifting, with many emerging trends and threats, from the cost-effective unmanned aerial systems that you see in Ukraine to compromised targeting and an unending cycle of jamming and counter-jamming. These realities demand us to rethink our approach, and defense solutions need to innovate quickly, adapt on the fly, sometimes even in real time. It's against this backdrop, I'm honored to introduce the leaders and visionaries with us today. These are individuals who are not only navigating but actively shaping the future of defense and strategy through agility, innovation, and going against the grain. So first, please welcome Dr. Chowki Kasmi, President of Technology and Innovation at EDGE. Have a seat. Next, I'd like to welcome on stage Reda Nidaku, Acting CEO of Venture One. Next, I'd like to welcome on stage Thierry Koffier, T3DM Director at Thales. Next, John Clark, Vice President of Missiles and Fire Control at Lockheed Martin. We have Mohammed Banuda, Chairman of ABA Technology. Hello. And finally, we have Jose Gustavo, VP of Sales and Business Development at Embraer Defense. Gentlemen, thank you all for being here. So we'd like to start off by hearing a bit about yourself, the organizations you represent, and your story. So first, I'm going to request Dr. Kasmi to please give us a brief introduction and a snapshot of what you're working on and your journey, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me for this panel. So my name is Chowki Kasmi. I'm the President for Technology and Innovation at EDGE Group. So it's a group CTO position where the objective is to consolidate our assets and to look into future technologies that the group will need to deliver the best solutions to its customers. So it's not a surprise. EDGE Group has been making significant deliveries during the last 5 years. Many contributors have been acknowledged for that, and a new leadership team was appointed to take over the legacy and go to the next phase where EDGE Group will be one of the best solution providers in the defense and security field. with a very high level of innovation investment to make sure that we become sovereign in critical functions and critical technologies. So a few center of excellence were established recently, going from electro-optics, radar, electronic warfare, artificial intelligence, in order to speed up the adoption of key technologies in engineering processes and business excellence as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Kasmi. Reda, could you please go next and introduce yourself and share some of the exciting developments that's happening at Venture One?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to participate this year in Marrakesh Air Show. It's quite impressive how it's well organized. So it's our first participation here this year. We've been in GITEX a couple of months ago in the same city, and it's always a pleasure to come back to Marrakesh. As you said, I'm leading Venture One. Venture One is the commercialization arm of ATRC. ATRC stands for the Advanced Technology Research Council. It is an Abu Dhabi government-owned entity in charge of applied research, from strategy and funding to execution, all the way to commercialization of applied research in advanced tech. It has been created 4 years ago with the mandate to push the UAE agenda to become a knowledge economy and be a key driver when it comes to advanced tech. The key subsidiary within ATRC is the Technology Innovation Institute. We're talking about more than 1,400 researchers in 10 research centers doing research in 10 different domains. And our role in Venture One is to take over these technologies and create products and solutions out of them and bring them to the hands of the end users in a product shape. Sometimes this implies venture building. So we create full-fledged ventures where we incubate these technologies. We've done that last year with AI-71, where we've taken the successful Falcon large language model created in TII, and we created a company around that to create applications in that front. We'll have the chance to talk more in details, I guess, during the panel. But prior to ATRC, I am coming fresh of 4 years in Edge Group, where I've been part of the establishment of the group, the creation of its foundation, and so on.
Oh, thank you, Reda. Silly, may I impose on you now to share a bit about yourself and your role in Thales?
Thanks a lot for your invitation. I am very proud to be here. This is also my first time. I am part of the group Thales. Thales is very well known for its technology, products, dealing with defense, civil, many activities. But Thales is also 300 industrial factories all over the world. 300. So this is also an industrial company. And one of these factories is located in Casablanca. And I'm very proud to lead this factory, and I am focusing on metallic 3D printing. And so this factory started with disruptive innovation. We will produce parts based on metallic solutions, titanium, aluminum. So today we are in the new phases. We speak about industry and what innovation is helping. What is the added value of innovation? Innovation for what? Is it disruptive innovation? Is it another type of innovation? We will discuss this together in a few minutes.
Oh, thank you. John, could you please go next?
Sure, Argon. Good afternoon, everyone. It is also my pleasure to be here today. It is my first time to Marrakesh, but Lockheed Martin, my company, has a long history here, being a strategic partner with the Moroccan military. So Lockheed Martin has 4 business areas: space, aeronautics. Aeronautics, you would recognize the F-16s, which are outside, F-35 and C-130s. Rotary mission systems, which include Sikorsky helicopters. And then my own business area is missiles and fire control. So products like Javelin, HIMARS, and PAC-3 hit-to-kill missile. I'm the vice president for Missiles and Fire Control International. So I have the business development team that's forward, as well as the industrial development team. Prior to joining Lockheed Martin, I retired as a U.S. Air Force colonel, and I have about 2,500 hours flying fighter aircraft. And I think I'll stop there. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, John. Mohammed, could you please give us an introduction and perhaps an overview of the latest work at ABA Technology?
Merci, en tout cas, je suis très ravi aujourd'hui d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui. Je souhaite aussi la bienvenue à nos invités au Maroc, un pays qui reçoit à bras ouverts, je dirais, tous les investisseurs et tous les, je dirais, les acteurs de l'écosystème qui sont intéressés pour impulser davantage cette vision royale qui est autour de la souveraineté technologique industrielle. Alors, moi, je suis Mohamed Ben Ouda, je suis président fondateur de ABA Technology. ABA Technology est un groupe industriel et technologique marocain privé qui emploie aujourd'hui 1000 personnes, présents au Maroc, France, Espagne et en Chine. Nous avons 4 domaines d'activité majeurs. Nous sommes dans la santé, nous sommes dans l'industrie 4.0, nous sommes dans la sécurité et la défense, et ensuite dans la supply chain. Et nous avons créé ABA Technology avec une raison d'être, de préserver la santé, l'environnement et la sécurité. La particularité aussi de ABA, quand il s'est inscrit dans ce projet de souveraineté, c'est que nous maîtrisons l'ensemble de la chaîne de valeur. Quand vous prenez un équipement électronique, vous avez 3 éléments importants à maîtriser. Vous avez l'électronique, vous avez le software embarqué, vous avez, je dirais, le boîtier. Nous, ce qu'on a fait, c'est qu'on a lancé des usines qui sont, spécialisées dans la fabrication des cartes électroniques, qui sont à Bouscoua, à Casablanca. Bon, il y a des machines de pick and place, mais la différence, c'est qu'il y a de l'ingénierie aussi. Nous avons aussi des structures qui font du plastique, du mécanique et de la structure. Et ce qu'on fait, qu'on prend la carte électronique, on la met dans un boîtier, on injecte du software embarqué, et ça nous permet de se diversifier, que ce soit dans la santé, dans la sécurité, dans l'industrie 4.0 ou dans la supply chain. La particularité aussi de ABA, c'est une société qui s'est créée il y a 5 ans, à peine, et on a fait une croissance assez rapide, par la fédération des startups autour de nous, et ça nous a permis de former un groupe dans lequel on a impulsé un peu de nouveaux process, d'une façon de faire, d'une réinvention de la méthodologie. Et surtout, notre différenciation ne s'arrête pas aujourd'hui dans la fabrication des équipements, mais on va aller avec le client jusqu'à l'usage et jusqu'à le contrat de performance. Et c'est ce qui fait la différence aujourd'hui. On en parlera tout à l'heure des innovations, que malgré qu'on en parle des IoT ou des IoT ou d'autres, on ne voit pas la diffusion à grande échelle parce qu'il y a une problématique d'usage. C'est pour cela qu'on s'est engagé sur des contrats de performance avec nos clients, de telle façon à qu'on s'engage sur des contrats de performance. Voilà.
Thank you. And last but never the least, Jose, could you please introduce yourself and share some of Embraer Defense's priorities for the region and beyond?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's great to be here. My name is José Gustavo. I'm responsible for sales in Embraer Defense in Europe and Africa. Embraer is a company that is mostly known for the commercial aviation. So you have Airbus and Boeing as the big companies. Embraer is the 3rd biggest manufacturer of commercial aviation. But we also have other business units. So commercial aviation 1, executive aviation, defense and security, and the 4th business unit, which is services and support, that works with all other business units. Related with defense and security, our main products, as most of the people will know, is a C-390 transport aircraft, which the customer base, fortunately, is growing a lot recently. We have Super Tucano, A29 Super Tucano, as an advanced trainer and light attack aircraft. So we have a huge presence in all of the continents and also in Africa. We have a lot of defense customers in Africa, and we are proudly supporting all of them. And Embraer is a company that was born in Brazil, but today is a worldwide company with presence in all these markets and with thousands of aircraft flying around the world. We typically say that every 10 seconds an aircraft from Embraer takes off somewhere in the world, and so we need to be present and we need to have that support all over the world. And I hope we can talk a little bit more during the panel about more details. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you, Jose. Gentlemen, thank you for your introductions. Let's get started, and I would like to start with John. John, it's been 2.5 years since the Ukrainian war started, and this conflict has given way to new paradigms in warfare. It's catalyzed disruptions and innovations to deal with those disruptions. What are some of the early lessons that you're seeing on technology that you've learned from this conflict?
Who here predicted a more than 2 years sustained and prolonged conflict on the European continent? I certainly didn't. It's been really quite an amazing and tragic event in history to see what has occurred there, and I think we all mourn the tragic loss of life. But of course, as a defense industry, we do need to look at lessons learned. And first, I looked at it from a Lockheed Martin point of view, and I was talking to the Vice Minister of Defense of Ukraine, and after the war started, and he said that Javelin was absolutely essential in stopping the Russian armor at the beginning of the conflict and actually saved Kyiv because it allowed them to roll back, push back the Russians. And I thought about that from the point of view that our Javelin missile is up to the F model. So we never just rest on our laurels. We're always trying to advance our systems through internal research and development. Another example is the PAC-3 missile, hit to kill, which has been effective against air defenses. And I have a little more thoughts on air defenses in a minute here, but that PAC-3 technology was developed out of a need because in knocking down ballistic missiles, when you had a blast frag weapon, there was a donut shape, and some of the missile with perhaps chemical, biological, or even nuclear material could get through. And so an engineer at Lockheed on a napkin drew out, instead of having a blast frag weapon, what if we hit to kill? Think of a bullet hitting a bullet. And we were able to bring that to fruition. And so it's the most advanced missile in the world today for ballistic missile defense. And that's, I think, is also a good example of evolutionary research and development to advance the systems. HIMARS, also going in Ukraine, was used later in the East. And the first time it was introduced into Ukraine, the first target was a command and control center, and then 5 ammo dumps. The next day, the Russians pulled back 150 kilometers. So it speaks to the exceptional capability of these systems. But I think also that you go to war with the technology you have, and it's important that in peacetime that you're advancing these technologies and making sure they're staying up to date and the best available for the warfighter. I think that one big lesson from Ukraine has to do with UAVs and then the counter UAVs. Again, who anticipated these swarms of drones? And from commercial technology, the small quad helicopter or quadcopters, all the way up to the more sophisticated, maybe the TB2, I think, from the Turkish company being used. Those lessons learned have to be incorporated. Now, I wouldn't say you want to take every lesson from Ukraine and apply it generally, say, to a war in the Indo-Pacific region. But there are lessons here where militaries have to prepare for swarms of inexpensive drones coming at them. And how are you going to counter that? It's a big challenge because a PAC-3 missile can shoot down some of these drones, but at the same time, it's an expensive missile, so it's not very cost-effective to do it that way. One concept that we've been working on, and I think that Ukraine has proven this out, is the joint air all-domain operations, or multi-domain operations is another term for it. and how you're able to connect various systems to have a greater effect. Some examples of that are the F-35 acting as a quarterback, being able to relay targeting information to a PAC-3 system or HIMARS. We've proven that. And that is also growing technology. We're putting research and development dollars into those concepts as well. So I think I'll stop there unless you have a follow-on question.
Well, thanks, John. I want to pose a similar question to Jose over there. Jose, what's your perspective on how the conflict has realigned the industry's take on technology, innovation, and perhaps you could share some examples on how Embraer is approaching this shift?
Sure. From Embraer perspective, the challenge has been to integrating new technology in our platforms, significant for the battlefield. So new systems, high-speed connectivity, exactly what John described as to be part of the network-centric warfare. So we are looking at our C390 as having that capability with high-speed connectivity, secure communications, and data links. And we have also made some new systems integrations to the A29 Super Tucano, exactly to respond to that challenge from our customers, looking at to the landscape of warfare these days. How can we put these systems working exactly to our customers' needs? So that's how we have been innovating in terms of a systems integration perspective. From a platform perspective, I think we can take innovation in a different side, which is we have been innovating for many years. What you see in the C390 Millennium is a very advanced design that allows the aircraft to be a high availability and to be, always available to perform the mission. And I think we are bringing some different perspective to the military aircraft, because we are able to spend all days accomplishing the mission and leave the least part of the maintenance activities, which are not a lot, during the night shift. So the aircraft is always available. So this is also innovation in the sense that we can, having so much availability to our customers, they can also invest in other platforms, in other capabilities, and maybe reducing the numbers of platforms they have because they have so much availability. Okay, so innovation comes also from the design side and the good aeronautical engineering principles. And Embraer has a long history about making quality products in different fields of commercial aviation, executive aviation, and we are bringing that to the military aviation as well.
Yeah, thank you for giving us the systems and the platforms perspective of technology innovation. Next, I want to move to Reda. Reda, you've been involved with Edge Group since its formation and led the development of the innovation ecosystem there. Could you please tell us a bit about the UAE innovation ecosystem and how it's evolved in the recent years?
Well, I think, as I was stating before, the UAE is clearly heading towards becoming a knowledge economy. Advanced tech has been put at the top of the agenda of the country, moving from a fast enabler of technology, which we've witnessed in the last decades, to actually a technology enabler and maker of technologies. There have been in the last decade many initiatives from Industry 4.0 to advanced manufacturing and so on and so forth. But let me highlight 3 events and 3 initiatives where I was specifically involved and I think are major in the journey of the UAE when it comes to innovation. The first one as you stated, is the formation of Edge Group. Edge Group has been created 4 or 5 years ago with the mandate to consolidate and put all the defense industrial players and efforts in the UAE under one umbrella. What this means is, one, driving synergies, and second, it accelerated massively the process of innovation and bringing products to the market. More than 100 products have been created and brought to the market in the last period, with the key focus on electronic warfare and autonomous capabilities, whether it's ground, air, or marine autonomous capabilities. The second event is the creation of ATRC. So in parallel to the creation of Edge, which became few years after one of the key defense champions globally, it was ranked one of the top 20 defense groups in the world 2 years back. The creation of the Advanced Technology Research Council gave another complementing innovation platform to the ecosystem, now focusing not on the product, but focusing on applied research that comes right before the product. So the creation of the Advanced Technology Research Council was actually another enabler to attract talent. So more than 1,400 researchers have been attracted into 10 research centers, each of them focusing on cutting-edge technologies, from AI to cryptography to biotech to propulsion and so on and so forth, all the way to advanced topics like quantum computing. The third and last but not least is the journey of the UAE when it comes to AI. This is a very important one in the current era. The UAE recently, in one of the Economist articles, have been named or identified as potentially the third most powerful country in the world when it comes to AI, right after China and the US. This is a unique statement. This is an unprecedented statement when it comes to technology and innovation. This is actually the result of a coordinated efforts at the country level, putting in place all the required ingredients to succeed in the AI era, from regulation and governance through a dedicated AI ministry, to AI education and training through a dedicated AI university in Abu Dhabi, to research through the Technology Innovation Institute that created Falcon Large Language Models, which is today one of the most powerful open source large language model in the world. And it comes from Abu Dhabi. This is a unique one. All the way to applications and use cases through champions like AI71, which is one of our spin-outs from Venture One. And last but not least, use cases and adoption with end users, including government end users, very determined into adopting and picking up AI use cases. And one of our key end users is actually the MOD in the UAE, which is determined to identify and execute use cases in AI. So all this to say that besides the startups ecosystem that has been created, the Industry 4.0, the last 10 years, and specifically the last 5 years, have been very rich in initiatives that fully revamped the innovation ecosystem in the UAE.
Excellent. Thank you for that answer, Rida. Next, I'd like to pose a question to Dr. Chowki. Dr. Chowki, you've been at the tip of the spear in technology exploitation and dispersion at Edge Group for a while now. What is your view on the emerging innovations or developments that will create transformative or inflection point type of impacts in the aerospace and defense industry?
So I will continue on the presentation given by my colleague and friend Reda. I think that the early incubated technologies within the Advanced Technology Research Council are part of the long list of technologies that will disrupt the defense and security ecosystem. Quantum technologies, we see more and more companies bringing quantum sensing capabilities to the most advanced air defense technologies. My colleague a few minutes ago from Lockheed Martin mentioned swarm of drones and the modern threat that we identify or we see being used in Ukraine and closer to us in the Middle East recently. It seems to us that the only way to really develop cutting-edge technologies adapted to the threats is can be only done through one of the new initiatives launched by Edge Group, which was the establishment of a CONOPS center dedicated to draft the CONOPS with the support in collaboration with the UAE Ministry of Defense. We are also looking at identifying, based on our operation analysis applications, identifying the right capability to modern warfare. And this considers as well investing in very early stage technologies or to support the industry, either internally or as part of the ecosystem, maturing new defense capacities. One of them being the directed energy technologies that have shown to be becoming more and more mature, and deployments are ongoing to test those technologies, and we will be having our own RETEX with our forces to make sure that this could be part of our air defense architecture. And in the same time, we look at more or less defense threats. Example, the COVID-19 was a tragedy for many countries. And we have seen that being ready for the next wave of pandemic is extremely important, specifically for young countries having to develop strong capabilities in biotech. And this is also one of the objectives that we have, supporting the forces to be CBRN ready, and of course integrate as much as possible automations, drones, UGVs, USVs, to make sure that we are able to enable our forces with the right capability. So there is a large panel of technologies. I think we could take hours to discuss them, but I think that the main point is UAE, Ministry of Defense, supported by Edge Group, and thanks to a very large and dynamic innovation ecosystem, is able to innovate and deliver new technologies to its end users, meeting the CONOPS requirements.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Kasmi. So Edge Group has a very broad portfolio of product solutions, technologies, from naval vessels to unmanned systems to electronic countermeasure suites. It's very important in today's battlefield to integrate all these to ensure that high-impact decision-making is carried out by battlefield commanders at the right time. Could you perhaps throw some light on how Edge Group is using technology innovation in this integration of different technologies?
So one of the topics mentioned earlier was generative AI. And Edge Group is streamlining the adoption of AI within its operations, whether it is in the engineering side of it, how are we bringing to the engineers artificial intelligence capabilities to speed up their development and validate much faster the development, the ongoing development within the group. I think we have mentioned one of the key entity here related to AI in the UAE and in the world. AI71 is one of our strong partners to streamline this, to support the education and the awareness for edge engineering and helping them to master AI within their operations. They are also helping us to create competition internally and externally to bring AI within our engineering toolkits. We are also developing our own processes to make sure that AI could be disruptive enough. It's always the same as a company, we need to make money, and we need to understand if making the decision to incorporate AI in product or in the development of a product is really boosting our capabilities. And this is something extremely important. So AI is one of the key technology that Edge Group is committed to adopt as fast as possible. The speed of the country in adopting AI is public. We are bringing AI everywhere. Edge Group is a user of these technologies within its operations.
Excellent. I think a common theme that's emerging is using new technologies such as AI to speed up R&D cycles. That brings us to the next step, manufacturing. That's where probably additive manufacturing comes into play. So Thierry, I want to pose this question to you. Could you share your industry experience in how additive manufacturing is shoring up innovation in defense?
Defense currently is facing many, many challenges. One of these challenges is the time to market, for instance. And when you have to accelerate all this, because COVID, Ukraine accelerates everything, and now we have huge pressure for this time to market. When you have in your design phases to prepare several parts, to assemble precisely, to industrialize all this, if you replace this only with one metallic 3D printing pieces, you can accelerate your time to market. And this solution, once it's qualified, it's very, very efficient. It's reliable. You are sure that you will ensure your mechanical constraint on these kind of things, because in defense, we are in very stressed environments. So the first topic is time to market. Thanks to this 3D printing in metallic world, additive manufacturing, you can accelerate your time to market. Another challenge is the ramp-up. How many of us have to multiply by 2, by 3, by 10 sometimes our capacities? It's a challenge. And the same, we all are facing supply chain issues. The metallic, the milling solutions are at the limit of their capacity. If you want to double the capacity of milling, brazing, of these kind of things, it's a long time. If you replace 1, 2, 3, 10 pieces with one additive manufacturing your capacity is very, very easy to accelerate and to drive this ramp-up. So in terms of doubling this capacity, in aluminum, in titanium, in copper, so you can find the raw material that you will print, and it's possible now in Morocco, in Casablanca, since you also are reducing your issues in terms of ramp-up, in terms of capacity challenges. So, so yes, we have disruptive innovations. So metallic 3D printing is one of these disruptive innovations. But we also have many, many small innovations in industry. What is innovation? It's an idea. An idea for what? Innovation for what? Innovation for added value, for creating added value. Innovation for security of the people, of the solution, of the product. Innovation for also performance. And we are always better together than alone. So creating in the industry the moment of truth where innovation, you capture all the potential issues and to create a moment of innovation, of common expression, this is also part of the solution. Not only via disruptive innovation, but also on a day-to-day basis with all the talent we have, but we will discuss this later on.
Well, thank you, Thierry. Next, I want to move on to Mohamed. You are a Moroccan leader in the Internet of Things, IoT space. I want to ask you two questions. How does ABA technology fit into the industrial and technological sovereignty map of Morocco? And in your opinion, how do you think IoT will accelerate technological innovations in defense?
Très bien. Ça me permettra de répondre à cette question. C'est que l'aventure de ABBA Technologies dans le secteur de la sécurité et la défense a connu deux étapes principales. La première étape, c'est qu'on s'est focalisé sur l'obtention d'une capacité industrielle et technologique en commençant en fabriquant des éléments un peu simples, comme des caméras de surveillance, des contrôles d'accès, de la sécurité périmétrique, des enregistreurs aussi vocaux qu'on livre pour la marine, par exemple. Donc au départ, c'était la fabrication des équipements de sécurité, de surveillance, des capteurs de température, de vibration, d'humidité, etc., pour pouvoir surtout travailler sur le soutien logistique pour les soldats. Donc ça, c'était vraiment la première. La deuxième phase que nous sommes en train de bâtir aujourd'hui, c'est que lorsqu'on parle des guerres, nous, on ne fait pas des missiles, on ne fait pas des avions de chasse, mais ce qui est important, c'est que lorsqu'on parle des conflits, il y a deux éléments importants à retenir. Le premier élément, c'est l'efficience de guerre. Combien ça va nous coûter la guerre en matière d'investissement, en matière de budget. La deuxième question, c'est la préservation de l'humain. Parce qu'in fine, on fait une guerre pour pouvoir protéger les uns et les autres, certains, mais in fine, il y a des impacts, il y a un rôle de l'éthique de la guerre. Et dans ces deux aspects-là, nous, on s'est focalisé sur des plateformes interopérables, de telle façon à faire converger des informations qui viennent de l'IT, c'est-à-dire Information Technology, et des informations qui viennent de Operation Technology. Parce qu'on a deux mondes qu'aujourd'hui n'arrivent pas à se converger. Donc on a développé une plateforme technologique qui permet aujourd'hui de collecter de la data, d'accord, et à travers un digital twin, permet de faire des scénarios, des simulations entre l'air et la terre, entre la terre et la mer, entre autant d'acteurs possibles. Et donc ça, c'est un élément important et on l'a vu dans les conflits qui se passent malheureusement aujourd'hui dans le Moyen-Orient et aussi en Europe, c'est la durée qui prend. Et donc, qui dit durée dit confiance, dit aussi psychologie, dit aussi derrière capacité à résister davantage. Donc c'est un combat de longue durée. Et donc il faut absolument avoir les moyens logistiques et le soutien pour pouvoir, justement, on avait vu par exemple en Russie, le fait qu'ils n'ont pas approvisionné certains tanks avec du gasoil, ça leur a coûté très cher. Donc comment peut-on avoir de l'information en temps réel? Comment peut-on aujourd'hui, à travers autant d'équipements, vous avez des équipements qui sont aériens, terrestres, maritimes, ces équipements-là, parfois se connectent, se parlent, ne se parlent pas, autant de technologies, autant de fabricants, autant d'équipementiers. Donc il y a une hétérogénéité d'équipements. Et donc la difficulté aujourd'hui, c'est comment développer cette plateforme interopérable qui permet justement d'interconnecter. Et l'IoT, ce qu'on appelle Artificial Intelligence of Things, ou l'intelligence artificielle des objets, permet justement de répondre à cette question. Donc ça, c'est le premier sujet. Le deuxième sujet qui est très important, c'est lorsqu'on parle de l'interopérabilité, lorsqu'on parle de la convergence, on parle aussi de la divergence. On parle aussi de la cybersécurité. Comment peut-on aujourd'hui, justement, développer de la cybersécurité industrielle où vous devez que ce soit digital native. Ça doit être à la base dans les équipements fabriqués. Donc ça, c'est un deuxième sujet dans lequel nous investissons énormément pour la simple et bonne raison, c'est qu'on n'a pas beaucoup de capitaux. Donc on se focalise sur du know-how, de l'immatériel et du développement. Le troisième élément qui est très important, et on a joué un rôle clé sur les 3-4 dernières années, c'est la santé. Dans la santé, par exemple, on a contribué de manière concrète au niveau de 2 phases. Au moment du Covid, on a pu fabriquer des capteurs de température qu'on les a placés dans les 3500 centres de santé au Maroc, où tous les réfrigérateurs, les équipements frigorifiques disposaient d'un capteur qui nous permettait de remonter en temps réel l'excursion de température. Et à partir de là, le Maroc a perdu seulement 10 000 doses. Alors pourtant, la France a perdu 16 millions de doses de vaccins, l'Espagne 14 millions. Beaucoup de pays ont permis beaucoup de doses de vaccins à cause de la non-maîtrise de la chaîne du froid. Et aujourd'hui, le Maroc s'est montré comme leader dans la maîtrise de la chaîne du froid. Donc ça, c'était une première contribution. Deuxième contribution concrète aussi, au moment du séisme qui s'est passé malheureusement ici, et dans cette terre-là, à côté de House, nous avons eu une certaine réactivité importante pour fabriquer des unités médicales rapides. Au bout de même pas 3 jours, nous avons pu couvrir l'ensemble de la zone de House, d'Edessil et de Tsaroudans, et on a pu sauver quand même 100 000 personnes, 100 000 citoyens qui ont été traités grâce à ces unités médicales et aussi à l'application de la télémédecine. La télémédecine était aussi une solution qui était très importante parce que nous avons développé des dispositifs médicaux connectés, d'échographie, de riscope, de dermoscope, etc., qui permettent justement de soigner, de traiter les patients ou les personnes qui ont souffert, mais derrière, il y a des plateaux de télé-expertise avec des gynécologues, des cardiologues, des ophtalmologues, des spécialistes qui ont permis d'avoir ce soutien logistique à ces personnalités. Donc ce qui fait que ces trois sujets fondamentaux, que ce soit la santé connectée, que ce soit l'intelligence artificielle des objets, que ce soit la cybersécurité, ce sont trois sujets aujourd'hui qu'on commence à voir une longueur d'avance. Dernier sujet pour en finir, c'est l'industrie 4.0. Nous accompagnons des acteurs français en France pour travailler sur la performance au niveau des usines. Aujourd'hui, les usines, certes, il y a une problématique d'approvisionnement, vous l'avez bien cité tout à l'heure, il y a une problématique de lead time au niveau de la fabrication de certains équipements. Et donc, du coup, le fait d'avoir des usines connectées à travers de la maintenance prédictive, à travers l'énergie monitoring, à travers la traçabilité des stocks, à travers ce qu'on appelle le Stage and Operation Planning, pour pouvoir planifier, gérer l'approvisionnement, gérer le stock, gérer la production, de telle façon à avoir justement un délai assez court. Et donc, notre plateforme DG Industrie, qui aujourd'hui commence à être implémentée en Europe, a donné certains niveaux de résultats. Voilà. Donc j'essaie d'être le plus bref, le plus concis possible par rapport à notre engagement sur ce domaine-là.
Thank you. John, I'd like to pose another question to you. A lot of the innovation that we see coming into the industry today, it's not from these large OEMs and defense prime. You see a lot of innovation segueing in from startups and small and medium enterprises. You represent one of the largest defense contractors in the world. How are you tapping into this wave of innovation that's coming from these smaller companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. And Lockheed Martin actually has a venture arm. We started it in 2007, and we use that arm to look at smaller companies with newer technologies and see if we can invest in them to help benefit from their technologies. Perhaps we'll acquire them. For the smaller companies, a merger wouldn't make sense, so it'd be acquisitions mostly. I think that these good ideas can come from anywhere. And one example that comes to my mind in my experience when I was a major at Air Combat Command in Langley was DARPA, the Defense Advanced Programs Research Office in the US under Department of Defense, sent what was then called Predator, and it was 4 air systems and the ground control station. And DARPA had been working with this with a company called Global Atomics, or General Atomics, and we got it from DARPA at the operational level, and what do we do with it? So there was a big discussion, and finally General Hawley, the commander at the time, appointed a lieutenant colonel as a squadron commander to take the system out to Indian Springs, Nevada, so desert where the airspace is controlled, and see what they could do with it. And that innovative group came up with the intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance uses first, and then weaponizing it. And I think everybody here is familiar with Predator and Reaper. And that's how that started, from DARPA as an idea at a smaller company, and then being brought into the mainstream. Partnerships are important to Lockheed Martin. Now, I'm sitting here with colleagues from Edge, and Lockheed Martin has a long history with Edge through our industrial development and offset program in the UAE. I am well aware of their great capabilities as well. So someone like Edge we look to partner with, and we have partnerships like that around the world. We recently signed an MOU with Rheinmetall to have our HIMARS launchers included on their platforms. We're calling it GMARS for the European market as another example of partnerships. Our global supply chain is very large. I mean, our company's around $70 billion a year. So we do have a global supply chain, and we're always looking for the smaller companies that can fit into the global supply chain and provide the parts necessary for platforms like the C-130J, F-35, F-16, and so on. I would like to add one more thing that's a little off topic, and that's I found it interesting. I had the same list of these technologies that we're investing in as Terry and Edge. They were very articulate about artificial intelligence. We're investing there. We see that as very important to be more agile and bring combat capability to the warfighter as quickly as possible. Additive manufacturing, which you described so well, but the first time I saw that was a few years ago, and it was almost a desktop and doing small parts and plastics at the time. Now we have additive manufacturing the size of moving trucks. That large, that can do in large parts of missiles very quickly and cheaply, as Terry mentioned. And I think that's a game changer, where you could put that additive manufacturing forward on a battlefield, say in a Ukraine, and manufacture the parts they need rather than have the supply chain running all the way back to the United States. Digital engineering is a place we're putting a lot of emphasis. And the idea there is that years ago, an engineer would have an idea about how to make something more efficient, get greater range, save fuel, and they could put it in a model and maybe they'd get the results weeks later. Here, an engineer with an idea can put it into the computers for digital engineering, make the changes, go home, and come back the next day and have all the data on what changes that had in performance. Reducing the amount of time and sorties you need to flight test. So that's a huge development for us as well. And machine learning is the last one I'll mention.
Well, thank you, John. I want to quickly touch upon the other aspects of innovation in aerospace and defense to the non-technological aspects. And for that, I want to lean on to you, Dr. Kasmi. Could you give us your perspective on how you've been approaching talent development to foster innovation, especially in an industry that is extremely constrained with strict standards and regulations?
The question is interesting because we brought our SVP for human capital here in Marrakesh. I will do a comment a bit off, but Morocco is full of resources, and one of the key resources is its engineering talent. We at Edge Group, we are emphasizing a lot on developing talent. We have a learning and innovation factory, my colleague knows very well, for establishing years back, that we are now transforming into an engineering bootcamp house, where our objective is to be able to identify at a very early stage top engineers and top talent within the UA ecosystem, and to nurture those talents through the Edge Academy to make sure that those engineers that we will be nurturing and developing will be extremely adapted to our engineering requirements. In the same time, we enable our engineers, as I mentioned before, with AI-based technologies for simulation, development, testing, certification, and manufacturability, because we also are looking at how to manufacture faster. And our engineers and technicians in the line of production are also trained to use AI and modern manufacturing technologies. We have an innovation team looking at how we can bring those new technologies. And with the technology comes the requirement of knowledge. How can they master those technologies? And at Edge, we have a strict and strong commitment from the leadership team, coming from Mr. Hamad Al-Marar, the CEO and Managing Director, and the chairman of the group, His Excellency Faisal Al-Bannai, to push the group to nurture talent and make sure that the workforce for the next 10 years are developed today. And this is something extremely important and reflects the overall strategy of the UAE on developing the national talent in the country.
Well, thank you for that. I also want to hear Thales's perspective on this. So, Thierry, could you share your perspective on talent development and the other intangibles associated with developing a technology innovation-oriented culture at a defense organization.
What I like in your question, there are several keywords: talent, culture, innovation, defense, and those words together reminds me of a wonderful word in Morocco, the word zelige, mosaic. I don't know if you know this word. It's a really, and when you visit and you see a zelige, you have a wow effect. Because each of these raw material is already impressive, but if you mix all this, you have a wow effect. And when I think about talent, this is exactly what I deal with each day. Talent is in many people, many different skills, soft skills, hard skills. All this, we have to mix all this to be sure that at the end we have innovation. Innovation for what? For added value. Innovation for what? For performance. I am in industry, so I am focusing on this. And so talents, indeed in Morocco we have very powerful engineers, and it's a first basis very interesting. How can you be sure that this idea coming from these talents are concrete, can become in the industry as a solution to help our customers, to create values. So you have to mix different skills of people. You have to be sure that you create the conditions to find as a gift an idea that you want to solve, an issue you want to solve. So finally, an issue is a gift. When you have an issue, there is a moment of truth when you can, together, not alone, we are always better together, find a way to improve. And if also in your management skill, when there is an issue, you start to shout, or you start to punish, at the end you won't hear about this. And you won't create the condition to find an idea to innovate. Perhaps sometimes an idea seems to be not so important. But finally, if you take time with all your talents, women, male, diversity, all these kind of talents, you can create the zelige effect and the wow effect. This is really what I think about when I speak about talent, innovation, culture, all these kind of words.
Thierry, thank you for that. We have time for one more question, and I want to lean on Jose for that. What are your top 3 recommendations on what a defense company should consider to develop technology and innovation leadership in an age when products are getting more complex and defense requirements are changing with the bat of an eye?
This question is for me? No.
I will answer that 3 points, and based on Embraer way of doing exactly that. To get as much as possible with the customers and the prospects to understand their complex environment where they operate, not only from our platform perspective, but exactly the environment where they will operate. So that is key to understand and to develop the right products that will be successful when implemented and used on the right environment. And we've done that with our platforms, working extensively with our prospects and customers, developing the human-machine interface, protective systems on the aircraft for dust, high temperatures, low temperatures, so creating exactly the platform that our customers need. Second thing is a little bit generic, but it's extremely important, is to understand what are the challenges and the pains of our customers. They might have other equipments that need to be integrated with our equipment. They might have some difficulties in some skills that we can help them to understand and try to bring them up. And the last thing is to work a lot with the industry in the countries where our customers are, develop partners, bring their own industry up. And Morocco is an example of that, with that energy that we can feel here from the aerospace industry. And this is extremely good to have partners in place work with them, because ultimately they will sustain that technology, and they will become our our extension in the country and closer to our countries. So I think these are the three key elements that I would bring as a suggestion to.
Well, thank you, Jose. That brings us to time. As we wrap up today's discussion, it's clear that the path forward for defense innovation will be shaped by speed, integration, and a bold shift towards unconventional strategies and emerging technologies. In an era where threats demand immediate responses and groundbreaking solutions, the defense sector is at a turning point. It requires collaboration across the industry, technology, and talent development. This dynamic environment calls for agility, commitment from both larger primes and emerging companies to bring disruptive technologies to the field. So thank you all for your insights today, and thank you for listening, dear audience, and joining us for this deep dive into the future of defense technologies.